We had two people come to us this week with false information they received from their local SBA office. And in both cases, they were given outdated information about what is required to buy a small business. Now, we love these local small business development centers. We think they're a great resource for people looking to buy a business, people looking to start a business, people who own businesses, really anything you want to do. But the weakness of these offices is that they're typically staffed by volunteers that are typically retired. So the problem with that is that a lot of the information they have or are providing to you is out of date. And the rules around acquisitions have changed a lot. Just in the last year, we saw the required down payment from the buyer go from 10% down to 2.5%, and then it went to 0%. All within a 12-month period, we saw those changes. So a lot of the times the people working in these branches might be bankers that worked in the industry maybe 10, 20 years ago when the down payment requirements were 20, 30%. And they're giving people advice based off what the rules were at the time that they were working in their role. And now that they're no longer working in that role, they're not as up to date on the rules. Or maybe they just worked with a bank that wasn't particularly good at business acquisition. There's very few that actually are. Most banks are pretty bad at it. So both of these people were told by their local office that they needed 30% down. And obviously that's just not true. We do deals all the time. We just closed one at 0 down with someone that was buying a company that they currently work for. We do 2.5% deals for people with really solid industry experience all the time. And then 5%, we've never done higher than 5%. That's typically the top. Now we know there are some banks out there that still do ask for that 20 to 30% down payment, but that's just because those banks aren't serious about doing SBA financed acquisitions. And if someone tells you that, you just need to find a better bank. Reach out to us, we'll find you a better bank. And some of the worst offenders out there are the biggest banks in the industry. You know, we've heard people told by, say, Chase, 20 or 30% is the required down payment. And the issue there is with the really big banks is just small business just doesn't move the needle for them. They much rather bank the GEs of the world, the GMs of the world, the big multinationals. They're just so big that bringing in another small business is a lot of work, but doesn't really move the needle on the revenue side. So they offer small business services, but really they're not in the small business game. So their terms aren't as good as you might get from a smaller, more business acquisition focused lender.